All right, what up, y'all? So let's get back into reward sourcing. Let's talk about a concept of reward that's under talked about. Let's talk about value. So, value is a term that comes up a lot in other games that are competitive, like especially like shooters. I think the easiest way to do it is since there was a Marvel Rivals boom closer to when that started last year, even within the FGC. And if you ever got into talking about competitive shooters or watching the competitive scene, something that commentators and other people would mention is the term value. And I think value is a underutilized term in fighting games that is not differentiated from reward enough. So I want to put out a video on this. And I think the perfect character for showcasing this with one specific button is Kohaku with her 2C. So value is not reward. Let's start out with that. Like just that conceptually. Value does not mean reward. But you can use value to set up further reward by choosing your value. And that's understanding both yourself as a player and or understanding your opponent. It is kind of a mix of both. But the big thing about value is understanding how you are picking and choosing reward, quote unquote, based off of the value you can get off of it. And I think the biggest thing with Kohaku is understanding how her 2C works because of the ranges and her execution requirements for reward, depending on what's happening. So Kohaku 2C is a very infamous neutral tool for a lot of people that are newer into Melty that play against any C or H Kohaku player. It's kind of the same for F, but not to the same vanity because of the way F's playstyle is. Where this is a very long reaching low. It's a knockdown. It's a hard knockdown sweep. So understanding the sweep property also matters to understanding the value off of this, which is sweeps generally in current code are scaled. Like if the sweep is the starter, they're scaled. It's not all of the cases, but there is definitely a lot of cases where your sweep starters are scaled. Like if it knocks down, it's usually going to also be scaled, but there are special cases to that. And in Kohaku's case, it's very easy to see with me not even finishing a combo, but just doing part way. But I'll decide depending if I drop or not, because rust. So 4915. Anyone who watched anything about Kohaku that I put out earlier probably already knows where I'm getting at with this. But the big thing is understanding I did more damage off of 2A. Right? There were more buttons involved, quote unquote, but like even then, if I take out some of them, just by this point, if you paid attention to the damage, I'm already doing more damage than I was here. 4,200 versus 4K. Like, there's a difference already. So it is a actual scaling property that exists to sweeps. That is part of the game. So that is understanding a certain part of the value you can get it on top of other mechanics that exist in the game, like understanding how teching works in current code. Your hard knockdowns versus your techs, which can set up tech traps. The same way, understanding in Kohaku's case, your reward is based off your range and your execution requirements. Because here, I can do a whole bunch of hunky-dory things, right? I'm super close. Not really hard for me to convert. But once I'm out this way, I have to really think about what I can do to sit there and get reward, as most people would commonly call it, off of the button, because I'm no longer in a comfortable range to naturally convert. And this is where value comes into play, and understanding picking your value choices can set you up later. So, like, if I'm in this range, right? just past round start, or I'll reset. Like this is round start, but like just close to the round start, like range 1, range 2 area. In this area, once I'm doing, like, if I do a 2C, the 2C's value in this case is usually it either being a frame trap tool or the fact that I am checking someone by low profiling them for their own neutral tool. Because technically, in the state that's currently on the screen, there is no actual advantage. We are in neutral, so I technically can use 2C as a whiff punish tool here, even though it is sketchy because of the fact that, you know, I'm easily in a range that can be hit. But even in this case, the value from it is being able to use it like that at base. And the same way as if I go farther out, now we're both in a range where only certain tools will reach each other. So now 2C's value learns even harder to being the counterpoke footsie tool, English. So with that being the case, the value is not depreciating, but it is changing on what I'm trying to look for with the button. And that also comes in the factor reward and understanding how reward works. So again, if I'm up close, I can get all the combos in the world. But understanding how hard knockdowns work in this game, especially with Kohaku, because, you know, character with setup tools on top of the fact that she's also known for mix-ups. Now, once I use 2C, I also have to think about other things that can set up further reward. And that's why the 2C does not have to be limited to, oh, if I'm at max range, I get a knockdown. If I'm at close range, I do a full combo. Or if I'm at a range in between, whatever I'm more comfortable with. There's other things to do that exist. And that's also off of her max range too. Like, as much as it seems that you're this far out, there's nothing for you to do, right? Because it's like, oh, none of the natural stuff works. So what do I do here? Well, there's this legendary confirm that sets up a tech trap. And that tech trap can be a source of reward for you because it ends up being a knowledge check. Because of the fact that now someone has to know that Kohaku's very natural at doing that route if you have execution for it and setting up a natural tech trap off of it, because that's just how the timing works. But versus a certain opponents, that might not be the way because they just might not tech, or you doing that might mess you up because you weren't expecting them to tech and were expecting them to hold it and they did tech, right? So what value do you want? Because you can easily just take the knockdown. And especially in Kohaku's case, the knockdown alone, depending on timings, can be a mix-up. And the mix-up alone can be what you consider your reward. The same way, the tech trap can be your reward. But choosing that value is what matters. And understanding, like, okay, I can do these options off of this. What is better for me once it comes to the long run? And that is what value is, because not all things need to immediately lead into immediate reward, right? The same way I told you, reward can be abstract. It does not have to be limited to damage. It doesn't have to be limited to Okizeme. Like, there are certain goofy things that technically you can do, right? That they can be cheeky, but that might be reward for you. Like setting up an air tech like that and then checking someone with a dash under. The same way, it's like, there's so many other things where it's like, all right, you don't see safe jumps enough as Kohaku, right? Like, if you see someone that plays Kohaku, you rarely often see an actual legitimate safe jump. You see mix-ups more than you see a safe jump. And setting up a safe jump might be better value personally for you than it is getting the reward off of the mix-up, because of the fact that it gives you the consistent offense that you want. That's a value choice. And that's coming off of the hard knockdown and not coming off of, oh, I hit 2C and I decided to do nothing. Like, you can hit 2C and then choose what you want to do. And that's understanding value. Oh, I whiffed. I'm not late enough to sit there and actually get a safe jump. Bang, safe jump. Like, there are ways to pick and choose your reward. Same way there are ways to pick and choose your value. And I think understanding both things will help you in the long run, because it helps you decide how do you want to set up more reward in the future. And that is what value can do, is understanding I can use this form of value to set up this reward for future. Simple concept. I know it's quick 10-minute-ish, 11-minute-ish video. I will have another video that'll probably come out later tonight that will be drastically longer, because I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of what is probably a long-awaited thing for me to talk about in sections, which will be neutral. So with that, later y'all. Hope that you enjoyed the quick video. Expect the longer one out later tonight at some point.